I did it. I have done it. What's the difference? Can you tell me the difference between those two verb tenses? I did it, past simple. I have done it, present perfect. How do I know which one to use? They're both used to actually describe a past situation. So how do I know which one to use? Let's check that out. Hi, I'm Tara, and I'm the Academic Director of KTI English. I've taught English to ESL students for nearly 20 years, everyone from age 5 to 75 and from all different countries around the world. At KTI English, we've helped numerous students pass English exams, become more comfortable with their daily conversation, and just in general reach their English goals, whatever they may be. Our main focus at KTI English is to help you improve your English and boost your confidence. For the last 2 weeks, we've been focusing on future verb tenses and how to describe a future situation. If you missed those videos, stop now, go back and check those out, then come back to us. Today, we're going to switch to the past and two verb tenses that are usually used to describe a past situation. And we're going to compare ways in which they're used very similarly, but differently. And that's the important part. The verb tenses we are going to discuss today are the past simple, I did, and the present perfect simple, I have done. So the past simple is used just by using what we call verb to, okay, out of our verb forms, 1, 2, 3, 4. So did is the one, right? I did do, not I do, not I done, I did. Okay, the present perfect is used by using the is made by using the auxiliary verb have. So I have, he has, plus the past participle or verb 3, as we often say, which in this case would be done. So I have done, he has done. Now, the key thing to remember here is that the present perfect tense is a present tense, even though it is usually used to describe something in the past. The important thing is that there's some kind of connection to now. It tells me something about the situation now, whereas the past simple does not have any connection to now. It does not tell me anything about what this situation is like now. So that's a key difference here. But we're going to look in two areas or two situations, two ways that we use these verbs that really are very similar, but there is a key difference that we need to pay attention to. The first area is a known time or an unknown time. Okay, let's look first at the past simple. Okay, the I did. The past simple is used to describe an action or an activity that happened and was completed in the past at a known time, at a specific time. That is the key thing. So either in the sentence or in the context of the conversation, the time is known. We may have words like yesterday, last week, last month, last year, in May, in 2020, or even expressions, clauses that tell us time, like when I was a child or when I first came to Canada. All of those give us specific times, and if we're using that, we need to use the past simple. Let's look at a couple examples. I could say, I met Tom yesterday. I saw that movie last week. I visited Las Vegas last year. I ran a 10K race in May. I played piano when I was a child. All of my verbs in those sentences are the simple past tense. Met, saw, visited, ran, and played. And that's because in each of those sentences, we have a specific time. Yesterday, last week, last year, in May, when I was a child. All of those refer to a past time. Now let's compare that to the I have done, okay, the present perfect simple verb tense. This one can also be used to describe an action or an activity that happened and was completed in the past, but at an unknown time. Okay? That means it's sometime before now. Okay? That's the key thing. That's why it's the present tense. It's just sometime before now. It maybe was 5 minutes ago. It maybe was 20 years ago. We don't know when it happened. So neither in the sentence or in the context is the time ever given. And because it really just means before now, in this use, we often just simply use the word before. Okay, let's look at a few examples. I could say, I have met Tom before. I have seen that movie before. I have visited Las Vegas before. I have run a 10K race before. I have played piano before. None of those sentences gave me the time. They just said before, meaning at some point in my life. It maybe was when I was 2 weeks old. It was maybe 10 minutes ago. I don't know when it happened. It's just sometime before now. Okay, let's look at the verb tenses on those. We have met, have seen, have visited, have run, have played. So we have the have verb and then the past participle. Okay, now let's look at an example situation to really understand this. Okay, let's say you're at a party and your friend introduces you to her neighbor, Tom. Okay, now you think Tom looks familiar. You've probably been in this situation before, right? Go, hey, Tara, this is my friend Tom. Oh, hi, Tom, nice to meet you. You look very familiar. Have we met before? And he might reply, yeah, you look familiar too. I think we have met. Neither of us remember exactly when we met yet, okay? So in that situation, we're going to say, have we met before? Yeah, you look familiar. I think we have met. Okay, as the conversation goes on, maybe we actually remember when or where we met each other. So maybe I continue going, do you know Patrick? I think we met at Patrick's Christmas party last year. Now, do you notice? I've switched to the simple past. I think we met at Patrick's Christmas party last year. Now I use the past simple, we met, because I am giving you a time last year at Patrick's Christmas party last year, right? The rest of the conversation is going to be that past, right? So the rest of the conversation goes, oh, Patrick, yes, I remember now. You wore that long red dress to the party, didn't you? Yes, that was me. How have you been? Right? So the rest of the verbs in that conversation are simple past. We met at the Christmas party. You wore a long red dress. Didn't you? Yes, that was me. The rest of the verbs are just simple past. But at the beginning of the conversation, we didn't know or we couldn't remember where we met each other. So we use, have we met before? Yeah, I think we have. Okay, another very quick example of this is like with a movie. Okay, or even just honest, true story. The other day, we had a friend over, we were playing a card game, and we asked him, have you ever played this game? At the first, he said, no, I haven't. I have never played this game. And then as I started explaining the game to him, he started remembering. And he goes, yeah, this game sounds very familiar. I think I have played this game before. Now, in that situation, he never did remember when he played that game, but he knew at that some point, yes, he has played this game before. And actually, he won the game, so I think he has played that game many times. But you see how we're using have played, he has played. We don't know when. He couldn't remember when he played that game. Very common also with a TV show or a movie. You go to watch a movie and you go, oh, you know what? I think I've seen this before. It looks familiar. And you don't remember when you saw it. You don't remember exactly where you saw it. So you're going to use the perfect verb tense in that case. Now, let's take one more comparison of these different verb tenses, okay? This one is old versus new information, okay? So we use the past simple to describe something that's well in the past, okay? It's old information. It's an old event. And then we use the present perfect to describe a completed action, but something that just was completed recently. It just happened quite recently. So we use this for new information. Let's look at a couple examples, okay? I might say Apple released the first iPhone in 2007. That's a long time ago now, right? 2007, that's old information. Everyone knows about the iPhone now. But as soon as Apple releases a new version of the iPhone, then we're going to say Apple has just released a new iPhone. I don't know what version we're on now, but 10, 11, 12, 13, I don't know. Apple 10, Apple 11, Apple 12, Apple 13, Apple 16, I don't know. But Apple has just released a new version of the iPhone, okay? A new generation of the iPhone. This has just happened maybe last week. So it's new information. We're going to use has released rather than released. Another example, where's my notes here? Yes, he left the party an hour ago. Now, old information versus new information. Let's pause for a second. The words old and new are really relative terms. Now, what the word relative term means it depends on what you're comparing it to. Okay? I am quite tall for a woman. I'm 175 centimeters or 5'9". Okay? For a woman, that's quite tall. But for a man, you might not say that that's very tall. You might say, oh, that's kind of short. My nephew is 6'5". That's tall. That's tall for a man or a woman. But for a man, 5'9" is medium, right? I wouldn't say that that's really tall. But for a woman, that's quite tall. So whether or not you call someone who's 5'9" or 175 centimeters tall, would you call them tall or short, might depend on their gender. It might depend on their ethnicity, right? Some ethnicities are generally taller than others. So all of that depends on what you're comparing it to. That is a relative term. So if I'm talking about Apple releasing an iPhone, then last week is really quite new information. But if I'm talking about leaving a party, well, last week is like eons ago, right? The party's happening now. So even an hour ago is probably old by now, right? But if I say 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, then that is new, recent information. Okay, so if I'm talking about a party and it's an hour ago, I'm probably going to use the simple past and say he left the party an hour ago, right? But if it was 5 minutes ago, then I might say, oh, he has already left or he has just left, right? Usually in this meaning of the present perfect, the have done, when something is recent, a recent action, we often use the words just, yet, or already to show that time. Now, here is an important part. We are not going to say the time. Okay? We're going to use just, yet, or already, and the verb tense to show us that it was recent. But we're not actually going to say the time, because as soon as we say the time 5 minutes ago or last week, now we're giving a specific time and we go back to the one we just discussed, which is the simple present of knowing the time, a known time. So if I say Apple released a new generation iPhone last week, I need to use the simple past. Or he left the party 5 minutes ago. As soon as I say 5 minutes ago, I need to switch to the simple past. But if I don't put the time and it's recent, then I'm going to use the present perfect. I know this is confusing. I know. Bear with me. Let's take a look at an example, okay? An example situation that we might use in our real life. Okay. Let's say I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm telling them some new information about Susan, some gossip. Have you heard about Susan? The first time that we give that information, we're going to be saying, have you heard about Susan? No, I haven't, right? What has happened? I'm going to use the perfect verb tense for all of those. Have you heard about Susan? No, I haven't heard about Susan. What has happened? And then I'm going to say, oh, guess what? She has won the lottery. I've given you that information. She has won the lottery. After that, it's not new information anymore. Now, this is the tricky part. After that, we switch to the past simple. And the rest of the conversation, the details, is all in the past simple. So we say, wow, really? When did that happen? Just last week. How much money did she win? Oh, she won $1 million. The rest of the conversation is simple past. When did that happen? How much money did she win? She won $1 million. But the beginning of the conversation is the present perfect. Have you heard about Susan? No, I haven't. What's happened? She has won the lottery. It's an interesting part of English. A little confusing, may take a little practice, but we can do it. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel by hitting the subscribe button just below, and then head on over to ktienglish.com and sign up for our newsletter and check out our blog for more detail on all of this lesson. Also, we are currently working on an online course that focuses on verb tenses and how to use them in our daily lives, and comparing verb tenses like we did today on how to use which one in which situation. So check back with the description, check back into our description. We will be putting more information in there as we have information available. We're working on the course. Hopefully it will be done soon. And finally, I'm going to turn it over to you. Today's lesson was a little bit tricky, a little bit challenging. I'd love to hear some of your examples. So please write your examples in the comments and I'll check them for you.